live.
We're back.
Mondays. How's it going, everybody?
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday. Lots of problems.
It is a Monday.
All the problems.
Technical
all the
Mondays. So, hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, happy 4th of July to everybody.
Yeah, I hope everybody had a safe, relaxing, maybe potentially a long weekend. We worked on Friday.
We worked on Friday. We work all the time, Ben, but that's what we do. So can't keep growing an empire.
I tried not to work Saturday, but I still got emails, and I was tempted. But I decided not to.
But Money Mondays, we do this every Monday. Basically live Q&A. We want to talk about different topics. This week we're going to talk about major productivity hacks, right? And kind of, a lot of people ask us, hey, you have a lot of different initiatives going on. How do you help keep them organized? What can you do? And, there's a lot of different tips and tricks. I mean, I learned a lot of this stuff actually whenever I worked at Microsoft as a program manager that kind of helped me see different ways to operate. And I know, Ben, you've kind of picked up on your own tricks as well.
I feel like tech, the tech industry has done a great job of being efficient, right? And obviously introducing some of these platforms and this technology probably way ahead of some other industries. And so, and this goes across, I want people to know, yes, we do multifamily, yes, we do real estate, but these can help for any entrepreneur, right? You're building a business, you need to be efficient, therefore, you'll be more productive, right?
Absolutely. So, with that said, I think to me, one of the most important things of entrepreneurialism is not about being the A+ student, but really about being the B student, doing it, don't drop the ball, keep everything moving forward, but do it good enough.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the old ready, fire, aim. A lot of people get stuck, right, on just it has to be perfect and everything has to be lined out, right? But if you never take any action, you're never going to get forward. You're never going to move forward, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where Ferris is coming in, right, is that you have to take action, folks. So we'll give you some of the things that we've done. Obviously this is not, an end-all be-all list, but, we want to obviously show some people, some of the things that we've done. I'll let Ferris lead this one. I said, I've been talking the last couple of weeks, so I'm going to let him. I'm going to grill you.
I'm always busy working here on the laptop, prepping, with the audience. So yeah, I do all the talking. But we're going to talk through a lot of it. Again, this is just some stuff that we've learned, multiple businesses, kind of my background in software. Ben's background is kind of his sales side of his business as well. So I think combined, we have a unique mix of things. But really, for this presentation, we wanted to break it down into 3 different topics, right? Email tips.
Yep.
Task tips and meeting tips, right? And for each of these, there's different tools to help with that. So we figured we'd talk through some of those. But first and foremost, emails. Ben, do you get a lot of emails, yes or no?
That's a big yes. I'm sure that everybody that is in business these days, it seems like it's just a perpetual email, or a perpetual meeting. So we'll kind of, some of the things that we've done to kind of help out with that, maybe you want to kind of go through some of those, man. Yeah, so to me, the first thing, I think everybody does the same thing with email, right? Where they get their emails, they start to mark the ones that they need to follow back up on as unread, and you get lost in it because you're not going to be able to some days to not follow up to that, and that gets further down. And the next thing you know, you're in the situation that a lot of people are in, which is days behind, have forgotten about things. Maybe they actually viewed it on their phone and they forgot to mark it unread. Yep.
That whole minutia, right? So, I think it's a terrible way to operate. It's not a way to grow. It's not a way to stay organized, right? And one thing that I learned early on in Microsoft is the power of the archive, right? And so I think a lot of people, all the different platforms support this now, right? But really archiving your inbox, right, is treating it as a task. So me personally, every email in my inbox is something that I need to do. Now, whether I do it today or tomorrow or next week, I never drop anything because I don't move it out of my inbox until it's done.
Okay.
Right, and so really...
So you're archiving things that you need to do,
yes,
right?
No, I archive the things that are done.
Okay,
anything in my inbox is something I need to do. So then daily, whenever I have a few minutes, whatever, I'll flip through my inbox and I'll see if there's something easy. Maybe I know I have 2 minutes, there's something easy I can quickly get done. Or maybe I have carved out an hour or two and I'm going to go really plow through it. Like later today, that's what I'm probably going to be doing. Going through, we have a lot of accounting stuff to get done. And I had 5 minutes, I worked on one of them a little bit ago, but really it's that I know my inbox has had everything that anyone is asking for me. Right, and what's interesting is over time you will start to realize that some things that were urgent are no longer relevant, right, for a variety of reasons, right? And so that's one little thing about it. But the important thing is become someone that people know is not going to forget about stuff, right? Be the guy that's repinging others, not the guy that's getting repinged.
Yep.
Right, and and then for me, if someone repings on something, then it's become more urgent, right? So then it goes up to the top of the inbox, and I might follow up then because now I know a person's waiting on it, right? But I think that's one big thing. The other 2 big things, these are things I'm still trying to teach Ben here, but really the power of Snooze and the power of send later as well.
I like the schedule. I like the
So talk me through send later. What's the power? What's the use case? When would you want to use that? Right.
All right.
And again, so we use Office 365. We were on Google Suite as well. Both of them have that. Most providers have that functionality.
So send later, folks, is just obviously you're typing up an email, but you're saying, you know what, it's late. Maybe I'll mark this at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock the next morning, so it's at the top of somebody's inbox when they're ready to actually do something with it, right? Versus sending it at the end of the day, then they get emails overnight, then they maybe get some more in the morning, and now you're at the bottom of their email list, right? So, that's one way to use that, right? The other way is to kind of, for certain folks, you don't want to immediately email them back.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost a training thing for some folks, right? So you want to say, hey, I'm not going to, yes, I can type this up and respond very quickly, but that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to send it, right? So maybe I want to send that tomorrow, just so folks know that they can't expect on certain things that I'm going to immediately respond.
Yeah, and even that, or even if you're talking to someone that is the perpetual person that drops the ball that you need to follow up on. I've gotten to the point where I'll send my initial email and I'll send a follow-up email maybe for 2 days later, and then I just tell myself, okay, I know if I hear back from this person, I need to go back and undo the follow-up, right? So, but really, it's about how far do you want to push it, right? But again, send later is an important functionality because again, people check their inboxes the first thing in the morning. And, really, I like to aim for emails that hit people's inbox around that 10 o'clock, right? After they've gone through the first pass, right? Most people, again, do that old approach where they're going through their inbox one by one. And so, really, boom, they're active, they're sitting at their computer 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And then, Snooze is another one. So, Snooze, if you're
This one was an interesting one. I always do the send later one, but why don't you talk about Snooze?
So, Snooze is, it's a newer concept, actually. I think mail clients really, I think Google added it 4 or 5 years ago, and Office 365 just added it literally last month. But really, it's the concept of if you use your inbox as your to-do list or your task list like I do, right? Then what I do is actually some things that are not relevant immediately, where maybe it's something I need to follow up on in a week, right? Rather than sit in my inbox for a week so I don't forget about it, you snooze it. And all it does is it moves it to another temporary folder for that time interval, and then it brings it back to my inbox whenever it's relevant. And so, for example, I might send up what's a good example? I might send an email to you, Ben, and maybe I know I need to follow up on it after a week. And so I'll snooze it and say, okay, this email, I'm going to snooze it for 7 days. 7 days later, it comes back into my top of my inbox. Oh, yeah, I need to follow back up to Ben on this. Boom, so I can send it right then and there. So it helps you clean up your inbox, because really my inbox, I try to keep the things that are relevant, things that I'm working on now. If it's maybe something I just don't even want to follow up on for a while, I'll snooze that out of my inbox to kind of keep that inbox clean.
Yep.
Right? And so again, that's a really powerful function because it helps you kind of manage your inbox and stay kind of clean and organized and have that as your source of information. So
absolutely.
That's the email tip. So
all right. So what about task tips, right? And because you talked about the platform that we use for email, right? What do we use for tasks?
So we use Asana. Before we go into tasks, really quick recap. For those of you joining us for the first time, we're on Money Mondays. Try to do it every Monday. We try to go through different topics. This week we're talking about productivity tips, and feel free to ask questions. Right, our goal is live Q&A, and so we'll go through. Leave a comment and we'll talk through it. So Noor says, "Hey, Noor, how's it going? Long time no see, right, Ben?" Let's see. So Ryan looks great. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate your help. Obviously, you're a big part of that.
Hey.
And we'll keep going. So task tips. So we use a tool called Asana. That's what we like to use. But again, all of the different products have their own version built in, right? Google has, I hate Google's, the name of theirs, I don't even use it. It's got a yellow, it's the little sticky list thing. I forget what it's called. It's called, I'm going to look it up just for those watching. Keep, that's why I don't like the name. Google has Keep, right?
Nobody's using that.
Version.
Nobody's using
Microsoft
Keep.
has Microsoft Lists now, and Outlook has its own functionality, right? But, we like to use tasks in the sense of collaboration, right? So, I recommend everyone should have a way to keep their self organized, right? Trello, Asana. Asana has a free plan that people use for a long time, right? But really keep it there where you can, not only do you have the topic, but really documenting what's happening, even to yourself. I used to actually leave comments to myself whenever something would happen relevant to a task, right? Whether it's I had an ideas list and I'd kind of update it throughout. But now really the power becomes whenever you start to collaborate with people, right? So we have the entire company on Asana. We create tasks, we can follow up on them whenever we want to. It helps people stay organized. Because as an entrepreneur, one tip that I like to tell people is people are half as productive if they don't know what to do, right?
That's true.
If people know what they should, what to work on, they're not spending as much time, including ourselves, figuring out the what. right? Versus if it's really clean, organized, they have time, they're focused, they know what to work through. Boom, 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 right? And the other benefit of a task, it helps you understand workloads and are you trending towards hitting a milestone? Meaning, a launch date or something else. And so I think that's another really big one that I think not a lot of people do. A lot of people do the stickies on the laptop. A lot of people, I used to be guilty of the notepad, but, it takes a second to leverage a tool that's designed for it and, use it effectively to where you're not going to waste a lot of your time as well, right? I think that's the trick.
And then I think we've seen the most kind of benefit, two things, at least in my world, right? And as everybody kind of knows, me and Ferris kind of divide and conquer here at Disrupt. But on acquisitions, right, the closing process, there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of tasks that have to happen, right? And so assigning those to the various people that are part of that process, right? That's huge. Yeah. We always describe our role, especially in a closing, is just we're a project manager on steroids.
Not even just on closing. Our entire job is project manager.
I know, but I guess there's a time crunch to that too, so it makes it even more stressful. But so you're moving a lot of things moving forward, right? And so having that Asana and having those tasks all kind of lined out ahead of time and just going boom, 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 boom down the line makes things a lot easier, right? But also on construction management too, right? There's a lot of different moving pieces that happen during a rehab when you're talking about rehabbing a multi-million-dollar apartment complex or whatever it might be, right? There's millions of dollars going in and out, and you have to understand what you need to spend your money on, what's left in your project. Was that due date hit by the general contractor or the vendor, right? And this keeps everybody on track, right? And not to say that you have to get your vendor on there, but it's more so just a to-do list for you, right? To keep them honest, So I think that's where Asana has been really helpful for me personally in keeping up with these tasks and these projects, right?
Yeah.
So meetings, I think between emails and meetings, this seems to be a perpetual time suck for most entrepreneurs, man. So what are some tips and tricks and hacks?
Couple of things. So, we're not perfect at this, right? As we grow, more and more meetings become more necessary and they start to figure out that dynamic. But, first thing is really have it consistent, right? Be consistent about it. Be, organized and have a method to it, right? And so consistency means the same time of day, same point. Don't just skip meetings or just push them on a whim, right? But be active and try to have them. And it's not going to be perfect, but really do your best. The other part of it is come with an agenda, right? And really, this is something we're trying to be better about, but have like a more structured to it where you spend the first few minutes maybe putting together the agenda, then working through it, then you spend the last couple minutes doing a wrap up. I think there's an art to running a productive meeting. There's a lot there. And then maybe the last but not least, we've been doing basically where we do kind of a brief 30-minute stand up with kind of different team members, right? And then a different time interval where you're doing a deeper dive, right? Where they know what are the immediate fires, and then save all the other, kind of hallway chatter or other conversations for later, right? And so really, again, be methodical and disciplined about how you run your meetings, because as we know, it's very easy to get overwhelmed where you have a whole day of meetings and maybe you checked an email or two and now you have to work through your entire inbox that we talked about how to work through already, right? So, and
some other things too, and this is just some common sense stuff or some things that we've kind of read about, right? You could have meetings where no phones allowed, right? You have a lot of people that are in there, they're in the meeting, right? And they're all typing away on their laptop or they're typing away on their phone, right? That's not a productive meeting, right? You assume all meetings should be no more than 30 to 60 minutes. Right? So if it's taking longer than that, then there's probably something wrong, right? Either you didn't do the agenda like Ferris had mentioned, or you guys are not staying on task and getting things done quickly during the meeting, right? So, maybe saying no cell phones, no laptops, unless, one person's taking notes, right? I've also heard things like, where people come in, they have to stand for the whole meeting, right? Who wants to stand for a whole entire meeting, right? And so, but that forces people to get to the point and get what that meeting is for done so they can get out and go sit down or whatever they got to do, right? But if you get in that nice comfy chair and you're kind of sitting back with your cell phone and your latte, who cares if the meeting takes 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
And so that's another tip that I've seen people do. Luckily, I haven't had to force him to stand, so I think we're doing all right.
That's very true.
But these are just some of the ones that we've seen, right? And there's probably plenty of others. I'd encourage anybody that's listening right now, if you have any tips and tricks when it comes to emails, task management, meetings, please dump them in the comments. I'd love to hear more, right? We're always looking to be more productive, and I'm sure our fellow entrepreneurs are as well, right? So,
and I've even heard people that as part of their meeting agenda, they have a few minutes carved out for, small talk and cordial conversation, right? And
Yeah,
so,
you could build that into the first 5 minutes of the agenda is just let's get it all out of the way, right? How was the weekend, all that stuff, and then you get right to the point, right? If you build that into agenda, I think that's an important way to kind of keep it moving forward instead of having that chatter throughout the meeting, right? So I know we got a couple questions ahead of time, man.
Yeah, so we got a few questions kind of from online beforehand. So we'll probably go through those. And if anyone else has any more questions, feel free to dump them. We'll kind of talk about how we do. I mean, we're pretty transparent guys. Happy to talk about productivity tips, or if you want to talk about other things, right? Yeah, I know one of the questions we got was a little bit more general about real estate, so we'll go through that. Yeah. We'll go through others as well. So definitely feel free to go ahead and drop in any comments.
All right, so let's start off with, and we've talked about some of this, but what are some of the software processes do you utilize to increase productivity?
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's having a method to the madness around your email. Have a plan. Don't just do email, right? But really be methodical about it. Clean up your inbox. Run it like a business.
Yep.
Quote unquote. We like Asana. Trello's great. Slack, Teams. Those are definitely great tools. And have these things talk together. All right, we're getting to a point where Teams or Slack has kind of become your command center. Right, where all the things that are relevant are getting notified into those products, and then that's where you go to monitor what's going on. So you're not spending too much of your time looking all over the place. You have one central place that you can kind of work through. So I think that's a big one. Anything else to add to that, Ben?
No, I think that's sort of good platforms, right? Find what works for you. There's a ton of things out there, right? I think CRMs are also another thing that we probably should include, and just kind of, keeping up with your contacts and keeping up with the pipeline if you're in sales, right? That's another platform that you could probably, be more productive on versus just kind of trying to remember who you're supposed to follow up with, right? It's kind of systematized, but those are probably some of the bigger ones. So just so people know, right? We use Office 365, we're using Asana, and we now recently gone from Slack to Teams. Yeah. So, just so people know.
We use Confluence as well. I guess we didn't talk about that. Confluence is a tool that we use internally for kind of knowledge hub. Yep. Right, so kind of where people document all the processes, all the things, and think of it as an internal Wikipedia, where you can cross-link things, you can reference things, search for stuff, et cetera. So I think that's
been pretty cool. Yeah. So, all right. So to a more real estate related question, and this one might be a tough one. I was reading this before the kickoff here. How to make money online through real estate.
Online is the catch now. Not how to make money through real estate, how to make money online through real estate.
The one thing that came to my mind, and this was obviously pre-COVID, is affiliate marketing, for conferences and training and stuff like that it's related to real estate. And I'm sure maybe even on some single family stuff and maybe some one-off asset classes that we're just not familiar with, there's probably ways to try to automate it and do a lot of that online, maybe through your marketing and stuff like that. But ultimately, when it comes to apartment complex investing, you got to get on the phone. Yeah. You got to be boots on the ground.
I guess it really means I wonder what the question really means, because another way is really learn the stuff we're just talking about and go help other guys implement it.
Yeah.
Become a consultant where you're helping talk through these different business initiatives, how to roll them out, and helping guys will pay for that. To our friends in tech, pay really good money to help them learn how to systematize more of their business, right? We've spent hundreds of hours building out all the stuff that we do have, right? That's worth something to people. So if you could help them do that, that's probably a good way to do it.
To all of our tech and project management and operations folks, you have a valuable skill set, right? Go lend yourself to maybe a syndication team that might be living in the past and say, hey, how can I make your operation better and therefore add value, and then maybe get part of the deal, right? Or maybe part of the organization, who knows, right? But using some of those online platforms is probably another way of kind of making money online, right? So, tips for transitioning to full-time real estate investor.
All right. Well, I think, the tip is really do it piecemeal. I think some people think they're going to make $1 million on the first deal and hop right in. Don't worry, I'm going to get a deal in 2 months. No, you don't know what the future holds. Yeah. Right? Kind of build up to it and realize that real estate is not about making a quick buck, but it is about making a buck. Yeah. Right. And so in the long term, it does pay off. Right. But it's about, being methodical, just like your email. Can you be methodical about real estate? Keep analyzing deals, keep underwriting deals, keep making offers, and grow into it, right? It takes several deals to have actual, mass of money behind you, right? And make sure you perform. That's a fundamental thing. You're not going to be able to keep doing deals if you can't perform, right?
You got to keep on top of it.
It's about, have a plan, juggle your W-2 at the same time, right? A lot of people do that. It's fine, right? And it's a good way to get started so that we have a safety net. You can kind of keep growing, right? And so I think, really figure out what your minimum income needed is, right? And figure out, can you get to that or almost that just by doing it on the side, right?
Well,
whether that's being a passive, or maybe you have cash and you want to be a passive investor for a while, just have cash flow, and then you can transition to being a syndicator or not. I mean, everyone does different things, right? We've seen it all, but those are some things to kind of think
I would
about.
probably add to that, right? Make sure you have ample reserves, especially nowadays, right? We're in the midst of COVID. Things are still a little uncertain. I'd have at least 12 months, folks, of your bills, your mortgage, all that good stuff. And just, realize once you step away, right? And everybody's going to know this, your company is paying some level of benefits, right? Usually burden can be up to 33% of what somebody is either making or just their full compensation package. So realize that if you're just saving up just to make that salaried amount, right? Out of that salaried amount, now you're paying 100% of your health insurance. You're not having maybe a match on your 401k or whatever. So I'm always saying go above and beyond that, right? And at bare minimum have 12 months, because it does take time. We're starting to see some deals start kind of percolating, but ultimately pre-COVID days are probably still 6 to 12 months from now in terms of deal flow. So just be aware of that and understand that it could be a little bit of a slow go for the time being.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's what we got, man.
I think that's it. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to write them out. Like I said, we do this every Monday. Live Q&A,
Yep.
live different topics. Feel free to ask anything you want. You can ask me where I got my nice haircut. You can ask Ben where he lost his hair. Happy to talk about all sorts of
Why does that always have to be the joke? Why do I always have to be the brunt of the jokes?
Hey man, I have my hair just for you, so you wouldn't feel.
No, we want to keep it. We want to keep this brief. We want to keep it informative, and we want to keep it, interactive. So let us know if there's topics that you want to hear from us about, right? We're just kind of coming up with some of these, that we feel are going to be a benefit to everybody that's listening in. But hit us up. Let us know what you want to hear about, right?
Yeah, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them. Otherwise, we'll probably give it a call to wrap here shortly.
All right. Are we going
once?
Going once?
Come on, people. Any questions, feel free to drop them. I think, we
Going
definitely went
twice?
through some valuable information. I wish I would have known sooner, so.
Going three times.
All right, we'll call it a wrap
All
then.
right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.